Hello everybody and welcome to Forever Rugby on Forever Sport. Today's preview is Australia take on Ireland this weekend. And some big players being recalled by both Dave Rennie as well as Andy Farrell. The likes of Johnny Sexton back in, the likes of Michael Hooper and James Slipper back in. And a host of stars in both sides as Ireland look to go 3 from 3 and very much sort of solidify their spot on top of the world rankings, whilst Australia will be looking to bounce back after a pretty poor defeat at the hands of Italy. They beat Scotland just. They've then gone down to Italy. The question is, can they sort of rejuvenate their fortunes? And it would actually be a very Australian thing to go beat Ireland this weekend. This Australian team, this Australian team is a side that on their day can contest with anybody, but at the same time can be beaten by most people, as we've seen. They got beaten by, for example, by Italy and probably should have been beaten by Scotland. And I think David Rennie's sort of win percentage is looking pretty poor. And I think they're, as a side, they're under a lot of pressure because whilst they're building, and a lot of people say, well, they just don't have the players. This is a side that was in the World Cup final in 2015. This is a side that, well, this is, so Australia, how do you go from World Cup finalists 2015, 2022 not being anywhere near? Surely that's supposed to be a catalyst. This is a side that's been given a World Cup because they're trying to grow rugby. So there's not too many excuses there, and they've got to try and really start pitching up and putting in consistent performances. But before you look at the two teams, please do smash like on the video and subscribe to the channel as well. We'll start with the home side, which is Ireland, and Johnny Sexton is back. A lot of the big sort of players are back, including in the front row, Andrew Porter and Dan Sheehan. Dan Sheehan being nominated for World Breakthrough Player of the Year. He is part of the nominations alongside Josh van der Flier. He's been nominated for World Player of the Year. So it just sort of shows you the kind of year that this Ireland side have had. So Andrew Porter, Dan Sheehan and Tyke Furlong in the front row. A second row of Tyke Byrne and James Ryan. Peter O'Mahony, Josh van der Flier, Caelan Doris. An absolutely superb pack, a superb loose trio, really good lock combination, and a fantastic front row. Not much more you could really ask for as far as packs go. Jamison Gibson-Park comes into the side as well. He does partner Johnny Sexton. Jimmy O'Brien shifts into the number 11 jersey. Matt Hansen switches to the 14. Hugo Keenan comes in at 15. Stuart McCloskey remains in the number 12 jersey, which is quite interesting, but he is now joined by Gary Ringrose as opposed to Robbie Henshaw. Off the bench, Rob Herring drops to the bench, as does Cian Healy. Cian Healy, retains his spot on the bench. Finlay Beelum in there as well. You've then got Joe McCarthy, Jack Cronin, Craig Casey, Jack Crowley, and Bundy Aki, who has finished serving his ban for that clear out on Sibele Sinatla in the URC. As a result, he is available and comes straight into the 23 and will be a very big presence coming off the bench. For the men from Australia, this is how they line up. As I said, a couple of big players back, including James Slipper, the captain, who starts next to David Parecki, as they sort of return to the usual front row next to Alan Alatoa, who did captain the side last week against Italy in that loss. There's also change in the locks. Nick Brass is joined by Karen Neville, with Will Skelton dropping down to the bench. Jed Holloway, Michael Hooper, Rob Valentini is the loose trio. Michael Hooper has looked really good, actually. He's looked very much close to his best since he's come back on. And I think that what's so interesting with Michael Hooper is that for somebody who's played so many tests, he just doesn't really have off tests, does he? He's got such a high threshold of performances, and it just never really sort of, drops below that certain standard. So he's an incredible player to watch when he's playing at the peak of his powers, and he really is off it, and Rob Valentini, very physical, but also new halfback combination. Nick White starting next to Bernard Foley, bringing in the experience there. Number 10, Nola Alessio, drops down to the bench. Tom Wright continues to start, as does Mark Nawakana, and Andrew Kellaway, however, comes in at 15. The centre combination of Hunter Basami and Len Ikitau do remain, though. So not too many changes in the centres that we've seen so much from Australia, but apart from that, a very new look backline. Off the bench, Falau Fainga, Tom Robertson, and Tania Tupou will add the impact in the front row. Will Skelton, Pete Sami will be looking to bring a lot of physicality late in the game. Jake Gordon, Noah Alessio, and Jordan Pataya, your backline replacements there. This is an Ireland's game to lose, you got to feel. Number one in the world, playing good rugby. They rotated last week against Fiji, and it wasn't the best performance. So Andy Farrell has almost demanded a better performance this week, and will be expecting them to really stand up and get the goods and get the job done this weekend. In I think what's for him as important to play well as to get the result. I think he really wants to. He's not just. I think with Andy Farrell, looking at the World Cup, it's not just about beating teams. It's about getting that gameplay right, getting the game plan right, getting the various moves, getting the sort of systems all in place so that you can afford to, for example, if you're having a bad day, you're still playing, you're still operating within a system that will win you matches, because that's how you win a World Cup. You don't win a World Cup with, 9 performances, because you won't get that. You win a World Cup by, well, it's probably about 6 actually. I think you have to have 6 or 7. You win a World Cup by making sure that you just don't slip up, and that you, even when you're playing badly or when you have bad periods, you're not conceding points, you're still in the match. As long as you can stay within matches during a World Cup and you've got match winners in your side, you can go on and win the World Cup. So I think that's more sort of where Ireland are sitting. For Australia, it's about the sort of continued improvement. So they are competitive in the World Cup, and they do look to try and push for sort of semi-finals, given the fact that they do have a better draw as well. Let me know what your predictions are down in the comments below for this game. Please do smash like on the video and subscribe to the channel as well. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Steven, and I'll chat to you soon.